Welcome backpack. This is Adbeel from WolfSteel Buildings, and we got a phenomenal project we're about to tour out here in Magnolia, Texas. So we're now over to the area of Houston, a little bit north of Houston in Magnolia, and we got this beautiful project that you guys are gonna love. There's too much to talk about. I'm sure it's gonna be like a 20 to 30 minute video because there's a lot to talk about. Before we get to that, don't forget like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on our TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We're posting a lot of content, more behind the scenes that you don't want to miss out. Kind of get the idea of metal buildings, really. Also, thank you, James, for recording. I really appreciate. And let's get this one going. All right, first things first, which is always the measurements, okay? So the main structure that we have here is gonna be, it's a 30 wide, and then we got 60 foot long, okay? So it's about 1,800 square feet. The main structure, which is enclosed, is a 30 by 40, which is 1,200 square feet. And then over here on this side, we have a gable extension, which is like a carport section. And that is gonna be 30 by 20, okay? So that's about 600 square feet of just open space. And we're about to talk a lot more about that section. And now let's talk about height, because this is pretty tall, okay? So we got 13 feet to the eaves of the main structure. The peak still rises about 4 to 5 feet on a 312 pitch, if I'm not mistaken. And then the lean-to is coming off and ending at an 11 foot. We'll talk a little bit more details about that once we get in there. So let's start walking over here. So here we have, again, this is 30 wide. This is the truss of our 30 wide. So you can see the bracing, it extends all the way to the edge. And you want to stay tuned in Metal Talk. There's a reason why we do that, which is very different to our competitors, and it makes a difference on maintaining that roof line super straight, okay? And then let's talk about this, what's going on here. This is like a little section of an extension extension. The client mentioned that he wanted somewhere quick in case there was hail or anything like that. He could just quickly park his vehicle, park his trailer, and he doesn't have to, clear space in the inside, which you're about to see in the inside. Is phenomenal, it's spectacular. You don't want to miss out on that. So what I love about this gable extension is definitely the header that we have here, okay? This is a unique header. Again, we did a double header. So it's one header and then another header, and they're both bonded, and we have it on both sides. Why is this important, and why is this something that you should consider if you're doing a gable extension on a tubular building, okay? So a tubular building usually has its columns every 5 foot, and you can see that in the trusses when you see the B-rolls. Every 5 foot we have a truss, and then the columns also land there. And so here we don't have any. It's completely open. You actually have space to sit this table, or else this table would have to be moved over here, and just creates a nice open space to really relax and no tripping hazard, which that's one of the things that throughout the years I've had clients say, hey, unfortunately the base rail is just kind of an inconvenience as more of a tripping hazard, okay? So that's the header that we built here, which creates a completely open space, and that's one of the things that I love about the gable extension that was done here. Another thing, when you're considering to do that gable or like a header or like a frame out, keep in mind that usually we can do the frame out, but then there's no metal work that gets done. And so here our client did, select the option to get metal work done on the frame outs. And if you can come in a little bit close, we can show off a little bit of the work we did here. You can see here we framed this really nice with the U trim, J trim all the way around, and definitely we got the wainscoting, which is a two-tone, which I'll talk a little bit more about that. But this additional custom work that you're seeing in our B-rolls is the reason why there's additional work. We've got to do the specific cuts, we got to do the specific work to trim around this, and it's all custom craftsmanship that has to be done at the job site, okay? So that's a little bit of the differences between a frame out, just having a normal frame out, and having an upgraded frame out where you trim around with nice sheet metal and make it look really aesthetically pleasing. check out these gutters, okay? So our client did get the gutter system here, and you can see here that we directed the water a little bit more forward, because or else it would have landed here. It was directed forward. But another thing is, something to really keep in mind with their tubular buildings is that the gutter color might not exactly match the trim colors, okay? And that's just for our tubular because it is made of a different material. James, you mentioned something, it's kind of like when you paint a vehicle, right?
Right, right. The front of a car, if you ever look at a car, the bumper is plastic, the rest of the car is metal, and even if it's painted at the same time with the exact same paint, sometimes there's a slight color variance just because of the base material that you were painting over.
Yeah, and it's just a different, it comes from different suppliers. So that's the reason why, just expect that it is, but in this case, it still looks phenomenal. I still love the way it looks and finish this off there. Alrighty, now let's access the lean-to section, okay? So here we have almost like a continuous lean-to. It's not a full step down, it's a little break that we have from the lean-to at 13 feet coming down to 11 feet. And you're seeing the drone shots, you're seeing how we did the work here, so that way no water is coming inside on the lean-to section. But this is 10 wide, 40 foot long, and now if the client wanted, he could have gotten it, you know, the full length, but here it looks like it's really nice because it just kind of gives it a little bit of a different edge to it. And as you can see, our client also got headers on 3 sections, because if it's 40, we got about, if I'm not mistaken, almost like 9 foot, and 9 foot openings. Again, you don't have a tripping hazard here. It just makes it really good to just kind of relax and enjoy and not have anything obstructing. Again, I'm really focusing on the headers because it is something that I find that it's worth it, and it makes a big difference in the aesthetics of your build. Overall, this project has 2 windows, one on that corner and then another one here, and then we have an overhead door on the side. So this is an 8x8 overhead door, and the other door that we have up front is it's a 12x12. So they're both insulated doors. This one is the short panel design, okay? So what that means, really the short panel and long panel, the long panel just has a bigger square. This one has the smaller squares. This is brown. Again, since this is a door that comes from a different provider than the sheet metal provider, they won't match colors, but this is the brown and this is also the brown. The colors we have here are rawhide and then are brown. Okay, so that's what we have here as the colors for this metal building, which I don't think we have a lot of those on our channel. And let me know in the comments, do you like it? I actually really like it. It's a little bit more rustic. Check out the fans that our client has out here. I can feel the breeze. You feel that?
Yeah.
Feels good.
It's very nice out here.
Especially
it is a little
over here
muggy out today.
Huh?
It is a little muggy out today, so that makes all the difference.
You can feel
airflow.
You know, the freshness that's coming out of the fans. Guys, you don't want to miss out the inside. You're only getting the little piece of what we have here. You know, all the double anchors on the on each frame out over there. On the other corner, we have 4 anchors, because we're going to talk about the type of columns we have here. Alrighty, Pack. So here you can see here that this is the wainscoting. So this is the vertical 2-tone. Again, this is a little bit of an additional cost because of the additional work we got to do here. So if you can see, what we have to do is we start with the bottom panels, then we put this trim, which is a Z trim, which is a flashing so water doesn't go inside, and then we got to put this panel. So there's basically double the work instead of just having one single panel. So if you see the vertical charge, that is the reason why. And you know, just in case you're interested in a 2-tone, but I definitely love the look of a 2-tone. It just gives it another edge to the building. Again, as I was mentioning, this is the 12x12 door. It is also insulated, and 12x12, super high, you know, a lot of clearance on the inside. Alrighty, ready to go to the inside?
Let's do it.
These are our new steel doors that we have. Super sealed. We were just talking about how sealed these doors are on here. And on the bottom, this is for our tubular brands. steel door sitting right flush to the concrete because the finished floor that we did here is elevated. So that way no water comes in. And so you're gonna see the notch detail for our concrete. And this sits right on there. I know that our mobile home doors that we offer in Tubular and really in most tubular industry, a mobile home door, which is about 1/3 of the cost, you gotta sit it on the frame. And here's another thing that I haven't mentioned. You know, if you buy a mobile home door and you're gonna do spray foam, we actually won't install your mobile home door. We actually will require that you do a steel door, minimum. And the reason is because the spray foam, once you're spray foaming it, the mobile home door, the jambs to it are aluminum. They're a little bit more on the lighter. And so they tend to move, especially with the pressure of the spray foam. So we've had these issues where clients can't open or close their door because of the pressure that the spray foam did on it. Steel doors come with their own jam, their own frame, and it's a lot more sturdier, definitely obviously out of steel, and they're insulated in the inside. Just a little fun fact. I love the concrete here, like it looks phenomenal, and so hopefully the B-rolls are showing a little bit of our concrete work that we did here for the gable extension. And again, we made this concrete specifically to fit the building, just like my boots specifically for me. Come on in. Check this out.
So one thing I mentioned, one thing I noticed as soon as you walk in here, it's kind of muggy outside. As we mentioned, we were talking about the fans. There's got to be a 15, 20 degree difference in here. It is so nice and cool. I was actually looking around for a mini split air conditioning unit that is not in here. How do you get this much of a temperature difference from outside to inside on a steel building like this?
Well, the good thing is that the doors are closed, so everything is super sealed, and that's what makes spray foam like phenomenal and like so effective. It's just like it seals every little crevice. And we're gonna talk about spray foam because what you're seeing is definitely a spectacular spray foam. We're talking, it's almost like a, we'll talk about it, but I know you guys are loving it, okay? Now before I get to that, I wanna talk about it, continue to talk about the frame, and then we'll get into the spray foam. For this building, this is a 13-foot tall, okay? So anything from a 12-foot and bigger, so actually from a greater than a 12-foot, we're gonna do a double column leg, okay? You know, I've seen where there's single legs out there, 13 and 14, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for anybody, but for us, what we do is double. And so they're welded, so it's a lot more sturdier. You've got basically 5 inches, 5.5 inches that's coming out. So the wider it is the wider your stance, the less you're gonna have of movement in your building, or basically more resistance for wind, okay? And then also, you can see here, you can't really see it anymore, but every double leg comes with a double anchor bolt. And so that's also another beauty of getting double legs. It's just we double anchor on both ends in the inside as well. So just keep that in mind. For 13 and 14-foot legs, we do double legs. For 15 and above, we start doing more of a ladder leg style. Another thing I want to talk about is actually our overhead door here, okay? If you're going to insulate your building and you really want to keep air control, it is recommended to get your accessories insulated as well. What am I talking about? Double pane windows, okay? That way you don't have air leakage out. Insulated overhead doors, okay? So this is an insulated overhead door as well. You can see the back in here. So it is insulated. It's a lot more heavier as well. It even resists winds a lot better because it's got insulation. And so if you are gonna be insulating your building, make sure that you're also getting those double pane windows or triple pane windows. A lot of standard that you get out there in the tubular industry is really the single pane. So the double pane and the triple pane, either you purchase them yourself and provide it, or just make sure that you ask for that. And insulated garage doors, like overhead doors, are really, really good, okay? One other thing I want to talk about overhead doors is your track system, okay? So here you can see that the height of 12 foot would have been right there where you see the end of the door. It would have came directly at a 90 degree this way. so it would have lost a little bit more of clear space. And I'm gonna show you the door on this side, how important it is, especially on your size. Here, that's what we have here is a high track. Let's turn around here. So what you're seeing here is we could have ran the track directly 90 degree, which is the standard track, okay? This is called a follow the roof line track, which is basically a high track. If you notice, if not, he would have lost a lot of clearance above here. And the beauty of these high tracks is that it gives you that clearance, it gives you that space, especially if you're gonna be doing like a lift. You know, you wanna look out for your clearance. I know our client said in the future he was gonna do like a loft, so he wants a lot of clearance above. So super, super cool there. Let's walk this way. Let's tour the whole building because it's amazing how it feels inside and also the brightness, okay? So we have here a 1-inch closed cell spray foam. If you've been watching our videos, I'm a big promoter in these extra strength that spray foam gives to your panels. So here we have 29 gauge panels, which is more on the thinner panels. But once you add that spray foam, like you can feel the extra strength, the rigidity that spray foam gives to your panels. And on top of that, it also dampens the sound, the noises, okay? And over this, we have a color, okay? Because the normal standard color is definitely yellow. That's the one we use. I know there's purple out there, maybe pink, I believe, but the one that we use is just yellow. Now we have a paint on over it, and this is ice gray, okay? There's 3 colors that we offer. We offer black, we offer white, and we offer ice gray. White, I love how wide and bright it makes it. However, it's a little bit harder to keep clean, especially if it's a shop, because you got a lot of air, a lot of dirt in the air. Black, I love the aesthetic of it, but it can also be a little bit more on the, you could feel like it looks a little bit more darker. For some reason, this color, I don't know, but it's my favorite. And maybe because it's a combination with the epoxy, where the whole thing just looks so bright, and the epoxy is also gray, and then we got ice gray on the walls. I don't know, but this is, I'm gonna say, is one of my best favorite combination colors for being inside a shop. Now, what you're seeing here is a unicorn spray foam, okay? This is probably the best spray foam that I've seen that we've done, and even what I see out there. In general, I believe we still provide the best spray foam in the metal building, industry, especially because it's closed cell spray foam. But this one is like extremely good. So what am I trying to say here is usually you'll see a little bit more of these kind of little bubbles here, typically around here in the crevices. And so it's pretty normal. And then the main wall here, you should see something more like this. But in general, you should see a little bit more bubbles, just to kind of set the expectation that this is kind of like a unicorn. It's a really, really good spray foam. The temperature was right. Everything was perfect, okay? When it comes down to spray foaming, there's a lot of factors, which is the chemicals, the temperature, and definitely the person that is spraying, okay? It's a craftsmanship. And a lot of times, just because someone is really good at closed cell spray foam does not mean they're gonna be great at doing closed cell, okay? That's just something to keep in mind when you're shopping around for spray foam. Make sure that you look at their closed cell spray foam work, because closed cell typically is exposed. Open cell in general, it's really to fill in the crevices, fill in all, seal it, and then you put drywall, then you put something else. So you never really see it, so it's not really a lot of craftsmanship work when it comes down to open cell spray foam compared to closed cell spray foam. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the electricity, okay? So we don't do electrical work, okay? However, our clients do ask a lot, hey, when should I do my electrical work? Should I do it before? Should I do it after? There's a video. I want to link it. Boom, boom, boom. Help me out marketing. Whether you want to do it after, here, the client did it before, called us and said, hey, I'm ready now for our spray foam. We came in. We masked all his outlets, even his box, his electrical box, or breaker panel. And it looks phenomenal in my opinion. What do you think, James?
Definitely.
And he put a lot of outlets because this is going to be his work area, where he's going to be working on his stuff.
So if I have a shop and I got spray foam, does that mean I cannot do electrical later, or what other things do you have to take into account if you've already got spray foam and then you decide to do electrical later?
So you can do it later. One of the challenges is that, the spray foam is already stuck here. Your electrician, it depends how good they are with working afterwards, because then they'll try to shave off. And so it can get a little bit messy where it's not nice and clean. But one thing you can do is we could mask off a certain line that your maybe electrician says, hey, I want you to mask off this where it's exposed, we don't spray foam it. And then that's where the conduits are gonna run. So, that's the only disadvantage on that side. So it's a great question. It just depends on your electrician, how well he can work with putting the conduits afterwards. Now, if you're gonna have some amazing conduits that are a little bit more on the higher end, it actually looks cool when you see that industrial look of your conduit. So I've seen that too, and I love it too. So it just depends on your electrician, how good he can do to be able to work around the spray foam that's already gonna be stuck to your panels and frames. That's a great question. Alrighty, Pac. So another thing I want to talk about is the fan. Okay, so this is a nice fan. Okay, I don't know if it's one of those big A fans, but it is a fan that our client got. And I asked him, hey, where did you get this fan? Because I could feel the air here. He's like, I got it in Amazon. I'm actually going to ask him if he can share the link in case you guys want to check it out. 'Cause we don't install them, but then again, this channel is to get you an idea how to build out your shop. But James, I know you've had experience with fans before, especially like these large fans. This looks like about a 8 to 10 foot wide fan.
Right, so you'll notice it's actually going slower. The blades are moving slower. So what they call this is a low speed, high velocity fan, like you mentioned, the big A fan. Mm-hmm. And the point of that is you don't want, if you had a 14, 16, 20 foot blade length fan, you don't want it spinning at the same speed that your residential, your ceiling fan in your house. So what they do is they slow the motor down, but then they adjust the pitch of the blades. So as we're standing here, you can actually feel the air even though it's moving super slow. In one of my previous shops, we actually had a 14-foot fan, and we'd have to make sure we shut it off at the end of the day because it would move papers around and things like that. It would set the alarms off because it moves so much air, but yet it is a lot slower in the operation just because of the velocity is created by the pitch of the fan blades.
That's why it feels so cool here compared to outside. Obviously it's muggy, so all that humidity is not in here. At least I don't feel it, but then it also feels cooler than over there by what you mentioned, like around 10 to 20 degree difference. Another thing I want to talk about is a lot of clients ask about lighting. We don't do electrical, right? But again, we're trying to just show what our client has here. This is 40 foot long, okay? He's got these LED long lights, and he's got 6 of them. And as you can see in the B-rolls, you're gonna see how he has them set up, and it gets pretty good lighting here. I think it's a really cool lighting actually with the gray reflection. Alrighty guys, so I know you guys love what you're seeing as the flooring. So we did the concrete work, and the client did their own epoxy style. He said it was a little bit more of a different epoxy, just a little bit more on the reinforced, but definitely it's super nice, not that slippery. I love the feeling of it. So super nice, and you can see here we did the control joints before, and then they came in and did that. But the biggest thing I want to talk about, which is one of the most common problems I see out there with metal buildings, especially clients that get their own, have to get their own concrete work. We do our own concrete work, so we know exactly how to build our concrete for the building. And this is one of the items that you do not want to miss out on, or you do not want to forget about, okay? And that's your doors, okay? So if you sit your door on finished floor elevation, one of the things that is not mentioned a lot is when the wind is blowing, the water is falling on the outside of that door. That water that's falling in front of the door can come inside your building, okay? This is what this notch detail is all about. And as you're seeing in the B-roll and really close up here, the track is sitting on the bottom floor, and you can see it so good because of the epoxy compared to the concrete work that we did. right here, the water will, if it does come in, it will stay here and then it'll go back out because it's got a small little slope that kicks it back out there. But this is extremely important to do the notch correctly to make sure that no water is coming in through your doors, because that's such a common problem. I can't stress that enough. And we still get that problem when certain clients get their own concrete and they miss out on doing this notch work for your doors. And you can see that we did that for this door and this door. Although this door is under the lean-to section, the chances for water to really just hit this door is very, very minimal. But then again, why not have insurance, right? The notch work that we do is specifically for your specific building, because sometimes you got double, for example. That one, since this is a single column, is the notch work is made for single column, and on that side we actually have it for double column. So the notch work here is for a double column, which is a little bit more different. So just something to keep in mind, that the notch work has to be accommodated specifically for your frame, specifically for your doors. Also, your footings, they do vary depending on the size of your building, okay? So it's all about the weight, okay? So here, weight and height as well. There's a lot of factors. But for example, for this one, we needed to go at least a minimum of 18 inches deep in the footings, minimum. And reason is because we got 13 foot on the eaves. This is just a lot heavier than a single bar leg. So that has to have a more reinforced, deeper footings all the way around. Just something to keep in mind, that, you know, things change based on how you're designing and changing your building. The price it starts changing all based on all these small little changes that can happen on your building. Something to keep in mind. But that's what we're here for. That's what we pride ourselves in making sure that we take care of those kind of things. You don't have to worry about those. Let's go outside. Alrighty, Pack. So a lean-to is not just to park your trailer, park your toys outside. It's also a nice area to relax, have an adult drink. It's Friday, so well, I don't really drink during the week, but maybe on a Saturday I'll have a margarita, and this feels like perfect because the weather's perfect right now. So we are in March, right before the summer hits, so it feels really good. Now guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope that this project was, gave you inspiration on how you can customize it your way. Remember, on our website, you can design your custom metal, tubular building, or your custom metal, red iron project. Just depends what you're more interested in. On our website, we have designers for both of them. Before we end this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm also gonna give a giveaway for a hat. Let's give away a hat. Yeah, let's give away a hat on this video. Alrighty, Pack, and I'll see you guys in the next video.